Yes, Rosie. Yes, Isabella. Yes, Kaya. No, Shunashi. Yes, Chloe. Natalia, you need to do one more step after that. Don't forget to divide after that. Abel, you have to divide after that. And then Ashley, yes, that's the final answer. Brooklyn, yes. Oh, yes, the Angie, yes. Natalia, yeah, you guys, okay, now the answers are coming in really fast, so I can't keep up. Yes, if you have 15 books in 12 weeks, I set up the problem first, making sure that I have books together and weeks together. So books, I don't know how many books on top here, but I do know how many weeks, 8 weeks. Week stays on bottom here. When you cross multiply, you took 15 times 8 because those are diagonal from each other. And 15 times 8 is 120. And once you get your multiplication answer, you use that to divide by the number that's left over, 12 weeks by the 12. And once you divide by 12, you would have 10 books. So that goes in the missing number here. So 10 books in 8 weeks is the final answer. Whew. All right, so that is the another way to solve rate problems: cross multiply and divide. Cross multiply and divide. It doesn't matter which method you use. If you can see it, if there's an easy problem where you can just multiply to get there or divide to get there, that's fine. However, this works every single time. When you cross multiply and then divide, that will give you your missing digit. I am going to go ahead and give you a few more problems on Khan Academy to solve. These are more rate problems, just to make sure that you got the gist of it. And different, there we go. Takes me a second here just to assign, make sure you got the right lesson. I'm only assigning one thing. I'm not putting the video on this time. The video has already been posted. If you wanted to go back into your previous assignments and look at the video again, that's fine. However, I wanted to give you this new method of solving rates: cross multiply and divide. And then tomorrow, let's see here. Yeah, tomorrow we're going to take it up a notch using some word problems in rates and setting up these same kind of situations using word problems. So go ahead and do your assignment, math assignment on Khan Academy. It should take you only about 10 minutes. And then give you a quick break and let Mr. Hartman continue on after that.
Go ahead and go into Join PD. joinpd.com, and here is today's code: MDBPMT. I trust that you all are well. So today we're gonna backtrack a little bit. We're going to continue talking about revision a little bit this week, but I'm going to backtrack a little bit and talk about different types of Zoom, not the Zoom meeting, but zooming in on a particular event or location, but making sure that what we're writing is focused enough. Like, I've noticed that people are doing a pretty good job of staying focused on one topic, but I want to sort of review the different types of Zoom, or ways of finding a topic and speaking about that particular topic and staying on topic. And that's what we're gonna take a look at today. We're gonna take a look at some specific examples and what that means and take it from there. So again, I know I've spent a lot of time over these past few months talking about the importance of structure in your writing. That is probably where a lot of English teachers in middle school, high school, and even college spend probably about 80% of their time is just talking about structure. So by my way of thinking, if we get all of those structure issues knocked out here in 6th grade, it's going to make things much easier for you later on down the line. So even if you don't necessarily don't like to write or you don't enjoy writing, I get it. Not everyone does. That's understandable. But if it's something you know how to do and you know how to structure it, and it's considerably less painful than it would be otherwise, then you're going to do okay. The one thing that never goes away is writing. So whether it's emails, you know, letters, resumes, there's always some type of writing to do. So just it's something that just it helps. So all right, let's go ahead and even though we've got maybe half less than half of people we need, we're going to go ahead and start anyway. So let's go to, we're going to skip on down here to, all right, types of Zoom. So when we talk about Zoom or finding sort of a central idea of something that we're writing, a topic that we're writing, there are two. So one is referred to as an umbrella and the other one is referred to as location. So what specifically does that mean? So if we go back and we take a look at the elements of personal narrative, you know, we talked about all of these different things that go into that. And first and foremost is it focuses on one main event. So it's really easy for us to get off topic when we're discussing something. And so it's really important that we focus on one main event and not several. Otherwise, our writing gets off topic and we start juggling all of these different thoughts and things, and then it just becomes it becomes unmanageable for you as the writer, and it also becomes unmanageable for the reader as well, because you're just taking them down all these different alleyways and showing them and trying to explain all these different things, and all we end up doing is ultimately confusing the reader. So where we're going to be at today is we're just going to talk about that one event. And so I'm going to show you some examples, and we're going to determine whether this writing or these sample passages have a focus or not. So let's talk about the first one. What is the umbrella? The umbrella it's one idea that controls the writing, and it carries ideas. It carries the idea through multiple locations. So, for instance, we'll say that we're writing about shopping for the perfect gift for mom in different locations. So now the one main event is we're shopping, or we're trying to shop for mom. So that could be at Macy's, it could be at Harris's, it could be at Forever 21, or whatever. Oh man, I went into one of those one time and it scarred me for life. That's a story for a different occasion. But the one main event is shopping for mom. So it can take place at different locations, but the one unifying thing is that that we're shopping for moms. So that's what's referred to as an umbrella Zoom. So there's one idea that controls the writing. It can span across multiple locations, but it is tied together with one idea. Okay. Now, the other type of Zoom, so we have the umbrella. The other one is referred to as location. And so this focuses on an event that occurs in a specific location. So our personal holiday narratives, for example, most of those are likely going to be location. So it's going to be at grandma's house or your parents' house or wherever, but it's going to occur at a specific location. So for example, telling about the roller coaster ride in detail rather than telling about every ride. So this is something that I see quite a bit in student writing at all levels that I've seen from elementary all the way up through college. The problem that you have is that oh, okay, well, I want to talk about the all the rides that I went on when I was at Knott's Berry Farm. Well, okay, but you're telling me there's sort of, and I don't know if you've heard this phrase or not, but it's an inch deep and a mile wide. That's the type of thing that is an inch deep and a mile wide. So you're telling the reader about certain things, but you're not going into detail. You're not grabbing them. You're just sort of talking about all of these things. Well, I went on this ride, I went on this ride, I went on this ride. That's not the point of a personal narrative. We want to, like, one roller coaster, the one that made you scream, the one that set you on edge a little bit. That's the one that we want to hear about. So there are two types of Zooms, or ways of focusing on one main event in a personal narrative or story. That's an umbrella, which means that you have one central idea that can span multiple locations. And then we also have a location that focuses on one event in a specific location. So those are the two. So I'm going to read a passage. So for those of you who are actually listening, you will be able to participate here and get an idea of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to read it's a brief story about Mark McGwire. Mark McGwire at one point, I believe it was 1998, broke Roger Maris's long-standing single-season home run record of 61 home runs. That was a record that stood for a long time. And Barry Bonds broke it in 2001. He ended up hitting 73 home runs. But this is an older account from Mark McGwire about the home run that gave him the record. So I'm going to read this passage, and then I want you to tell me whether this is an umbrella Zoom or a location Zoom. So I'll go ahead and read it aloud, and then we'll go ahead and answer. Even before I opened my eyes on that eventful morning, I was thinking about what might happen. Would this be the day that my name went down in baseball history? More than anything else, I did not want to disappoint my fans today. As the game unfolded later that night, the Cubs were ahead 2-0. Anxiously, I awaited my turn at bat. When the time finally arrived, I slowly walked over to home plate. Surrounding me was the pulsating sound of all the fans cheering me on. Go, Mark, go, Mark. After digging my cleats into the dirt and positioning myself, I gripped the bat so tight I could feel the blood rushing through my fingers. Perspiration popped out on my brow, and my heart thundered as I glared into the eyes of the opposing pitcher. As he wound up and got ready to pitch, I kept telling myself to concentrate on the ball. My bat was ready. held in the same way I held it before all the home runs in the past. My muscles twitched, anxious to release the energy pent up within me. In an instant, the ball left the pitcher's hand. This is it, I said to myself. As if in slow motion, I felt myself swing the bat around and make perfect contact with the ball with the sweetest crack I had ever heard. The swing of my bat sent the ball blasting away from me towards right field. The crowd was suddenly hushed as thousands of eyes watched to see the destination of that ball. Two forces tugged within me. At once, I wanted both to run speedily around the bases and just to stand still and watch the ball I had just hit. Just as I rounded first base, I heard the roar of the crowd, and I knew my dream had come true. I had broken Roger Maris's record for the most home runs in a season. All my team members rushed onto the field to congratulate me when I got back to home plate. My heart was pounding with pride and appreciation for all the fans and team members who had cheered me on. I played many more games and I hit more home runs after that eventful evening. But as I look back, none compares to the night that I saw my dream come true. I had finally made baseball history. So, excuse me. Is that an example of an umbrella zoom or a location? So remember, an umbrella is something that's unified by one idea that, that can take place over multiple locations. And a location zoom is something that just takes place in one specific location. So of those two, which do you think this is? Umbrella or location? And I'll give you about 30 more seconds to respond. Okay, so we have umbrella, 12 for umbrella, 33 for location. Yeah, this would be an example. This would be an example of a location, zoom. Why is that? Well, because all of this location, or I'm sorry, all of this action is taking place at one location. So as he, the writer, Mark McGuire in this situation is in one setting, and he elaborates on what's happening at that one particular location. So very specifically, I mean, he's in the ballpark the entire time, but more specifically, he's in the batter's box the whole time. So all of the action, even though it does relate to his breaking the single season home run record, it more specifically takes place in one location there in the ballpark. So if you did respond with location, you are correct. So again, the two types of zoom. Umbrella, one idea that controls the writing, carries ideas through multiple locations. So that would be, we could conceivably make an argument for that, but the most accurate one would be location. It focuses on an event that occurs in a specific location, in this case, a baseball park, a ballpark, and we're telling the details about hitting that historic home run, right? Cool. All right. So here's what's going to happen now. You are going to do some reading and you are going to answer 2 questions. The first question will be, does the writing zoom? So is there an umbrella zoom of some kind? Is there a location? So basically, is there a central event, like a main event that we're focused on? And if it does zoom, is that zoom an umbrella or location? So let's go ahead and take a look at the first student sample here. Does the writing zoom? So I'm going to pull up the first Okay, let me. Okay, there is the first sample. Go ahead and take a minute and read that over. And then we're going to come back. We're going to come back to the see if it has a zoom or not. So go ahead and read that. Mom, I said frantically, have you seen Pa Bear? No, she replied. I shrugged and thought about where I would go if I was Pa Bear. I was only 4. This is a piece of student writing, by the way. Instead of looking for a Pa Bear right away, I went to my blanket for advice. I asked Blanket if he had seen Pa Bear leave and if he knew where. Blanket sat there not saying anything. I tried to remind him that Pa Bear was a good friend of his, but he didn't tell me anything. After I gave up on Blanket, I started searching in the living room. I looked under the couch cushions, but all I found there was old popcorn and a nickel. Man, that hit way too close to home. I looked behind the couch and didn't see anything. Afterward, I looked in my closet. Behind my shoes? No. In the drawer of stuffed animals? No. Lucas, my mom called. I tumbled into the drawer. I climbed out of the drawer and went to my mom and asked her what she wanted. She answered, I found Pa Bear, and she handed me Pa Bear. I yelled in joy and started jumping around. After I calmed down, I gave my mom a hug and another. Then I hugged Pa Bear. I was very happy that Ma found Pa Bear. So the question, does this writing zoom? Does this writing zoom? Go ahead and click yes or no. Does this writing zoom? So come back here. So at this point, you are just telling me whether or not this writing does in fact zoom. And those of you who answered yes are correct. You are correct. It does in fact zoom. So moving on to the next question. Okay, same piece of writing. If it does zoom, would it be an umbrella or location zoom? So I'll go back to the piece. So we've determined that it does in fact have a zoom. Would it be an umbrella zoom or a location zoom? Okay, so based on what we just read, which we determined it does have a zoom, would it be an umbrella zoom or a location zoom? "28 of you said umbrella, 29 now, and you are correct. Okay, so it does have a zoom, and it's an umbrella zoom, which means that sort of takes place over multiple locations, and but it does have a central idea there. Okay, good, 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 good. Well done, well done, well done. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at sample 2. So same thing, we're trying to answer 2 questions. First of all, does the writing, does it have a specific singular focus? And if it does, is it an umbrella or location zoom? So let's take a look at the second one here. "A special day time at the state fair. Late one October afternoon, my friend Donnie and I went to the state fair. His mom and grandmother drove us. On the way there, we stopped to get a Coke and some crunchy cheese crackers. I knew we were going to have a great time. When we got there, we stood in line behind a lady with twins that were 2 years old. They were really cute little boys. They tried to get everything out or their mom's pocketbook because they were so bored. As soon as we got into the park, we went to ride the roller coaster. It went really fast. We got scared. It seemed to go faster and faster when we went straight down and around curves. We got off that ride and went straight to the log ride. That ride was lots of fun. When we got off, we were soaking wet. After we ate lunch, we rode the vortex. It was huge and real exciting. We screamed like crazy. Next, we went to the exhibits. We went because Donnie's grandmother wanted to see all the flowers and homemade jelly." Oh man, that speaks to me too. "It was very boring to me and Donnie. They looked at every single flower that was there. I was mad at them for staying so long. Then we ate some chocolate fudge. It was delicious because it had so many pecans in it. It was so sweet that I drank my Coke in about 2 seconds. Then we went to Donnie's car and left the state fair. That was a very special time with my friend." Okay, so I want us to think about that for just a moment. So coming back here, does this particular piece of writing, does it have a zoom? Yes or no? Yes or no? So remember, we want to make sure that if we're looking at an umbrella zoom, that there's one idea that controls the writing, and it can take place at multiple locations. But does this particular piece of writing have a singular focus to it? Does this writing have a zoom? Yes or no? This particular piece really does not have a zoom. It does not have a zoom. So why is that? Well, let's go back and take a look. So a special time now. We're at the state fair, but is there one idea that is controlling the writing? Not really. I mean, they're at the state fair, but we're talking about all kinds of different rides. We're talking about basically this is what I did from start to finish. So not really. And we do have the location, but we're in all these different places, all these different rides, standing in line, getting fun. It's just it's one of the this one is a little bit tricky in terms of if you just look at it, like, well, yeah, they're at the state fair, so it all sort of hangs together. But there's really no singular event that the author is focused on here, other than just being at the state fair with his friend. So no zoom on that one. No zoom on that one. So that was kind of a tricky one. Nope, no zoom there. All right, let's take a look at a final example here. All right, let's take a look at this one. It's kind of an interesting one. All right. A time I had fun with a friend was when I went to Minneapolis, Minnesota on February 13th, 2000. It all started on a cloudy, snowy day in the beautiful state, Minnesota. I was 10 years old and had come to visit one of my best friends, Lauren. Lauren was almost 12 and has brown hair and brown eyes. That morning, we had decided to go to the huge Mall of America. I couldn't believe it. At about 11, we were out the door and almost there. When we arrived, I jumped out of the car and headed for the door. We went in and ran straight to the giant amusement park. It was a huge place with huge rides. There was a Ferris wheel, a roller coaster, a log flume, giant swings, and much, much more. Of course, I ran straight for the roller coaster. It was a huge roller coaster with green tracks and went around the entire amusement park. When it was our turn to get on, Lauren and I hopped into the first seat. My mom and Lauren's mom were right behind us. Then all of a sudden, the ride jerked us forward and off we were. We were zooming across the place with our arms in the air and screaming our head off. Boy, were we speeding. We were going as fast as a cheetah could run. Suddenly, we were in a dark tunnel with Paul Bunyan moving statues all around us. The roller coaster was going up a hill-like thing, and then it started speeding again. I felt like I would fall off because the roller coaster was tipping inward. I'm going to fall out, I thought. My hands were clutching the slippery bar with excitement. This is so much fun, I screamed. No one else answered. I think they were frozen with fear. In the blink of an eye, we were on the other side of the amusement park, passing by a store. Lights shone in our eyes, and we were as bright as the afternoon sun. We were above everything there and high in the air. When we pulled back into the place where you get on, we all hopped out. Lauren and I almost fell over. That was so fun, we both bid each other. Then we walked over to the next ride. That was a time I had with a friend. Okay, so first question is, does this particular piece have a zoom? Does it have a zoom? So does it have a singular focus? Does it have a singular focus? 38 of you are saying yes, and yes, it does. It is And I want to point out a couple of key differences between this example and the previous example. This one here, the author stays on the, what is it, like the log ride. So they're in Minneapolis, but they're focused on the location. So what is the location zoom? So they're focused on an event that takes place in a specific location, and talking about just the one ride. That's it. So she's not talking about all these different rides that she's going on. She just focuses on, even though she mentions, like here in this third paragraph, all the different rides, she's just talking about the one particular ride. So it talks about getting there and how there are all these different rides. But of course, I ran straight for the roller coaster. It was a huge roller coaster with green tracks and went around the entire amusement park. When it was our turn to get on, and then the rest of the essay is about that particular roller coaster. So focused on one event that occurs in a specific location. In this particular instance, the Mall of America. Never been. I heard it's pretty cool. So if you've been, that's pretty cool. So next question, if it does zoom, is it an umbrella or a location zoom? So does it focus on an event that occurs in a specific location? Or does it occur over multiple locations, but have one idea? Give 5 more seconds for you to register your response. Yes, it is a location. It is a location zoom. So good. Location. All right. Cool. Well, that is it. That is it for today. So we're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break. And then if Mr. Mullen is okay with it, we'll go ahead